Okay, the French President Emmanuel Macron has criticized Rishi Sunak's program of sending Africans to Rwanda. Yes, it's hot between France and the UK right now. At the Sorbonne University in Paris, Emmanuel Macron said he did not believe in a model of sending Africans or any other immigrants to a third country that they don't belong to. Like, yeah, you've got somebody from Ghana coming to your country and you're sending them to Afghanistan. Or somebody from Iraq coming to your country and you're sending them to Afghanistan. Emmanuel Macron doesn't believe it makes sense at all. He has warned that this will be ineffective, and that's a big insult for the British. So, like I said earlier, Macron in the University of Paris, he said he doesn't believe in a model which would involve finding third countries in the African continent or elsewhere where they would send people who arrive on there solely legally, but people who do not come to that country. Macron said the plan would prove totally ineffective and that using another country to handle asylum seekers created a geopolitics of cynicism. So the British are not happy at all with what Macron has to say. And we're going to try to find out here, does it make any sense? Emmanuel Macron, French president, who recently has been kicked out of many African countries, now taking part for Africans. What does this inspire you? Macron says Rishi Sunak's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda has the politics of cynicism and a betrayal of European value. He says Rishi Sunak's plan is a betrayal to European values. So Europeans should not be sending somebody else to another country. If somebody comes from country A, you need to send them back either to country A or keep them. It's not for you to send them in country C because that's against European values. Obviously, the British are not happy about this. They've reacted very harshly. I mean, we all know what's happening currently in Great Britain. A lot of African refugees or immigrants are going to Great Britain looking for a better life. I don't know why people feel a better life is necessarily in Europe. Africa has so much to offer, fellas. Africa is still brand new. It's still like a blank paper. You can write in everything you want. Nothing is done yet. I mean, so much opportunities to become rich in Africa, millionaire, even not millionaire, just to make money, to have a decent living. Africa has got so much to do. As opposed to Europe, that already has light enterprises, businesses, organizations. Everything is already set in Europe and America. Africa is still brand new. Okay, let's continue. Rishi Sunak's spokeswoman rejected the criticism and said, "We don't agree. We think that our approach is the right one. In terms of breaking the business model of criminals, we need a strong deterrent." So Rishi Sunak's office has rejected criticism. They say France cannot criticize us. They cannot criticize us on our plan to send Africans back to Africa because that's where they came from, right? Now, we need to make it very simple here, fellas. The UK has selected 5,700 asylum seekers out of 57,000, which they're going to be sent to Africa in the next couple of weeks. That's their plan. And out of the 5,700 asylum seekers targeted, only 2,143 continue to report at the Home Office, to identify themselves in order to be perhaps deported. Let me repeat that. Out of 5,700 asylum seekers that has been identified, like you going back to Africa, only 2,000 are to be found. The other ones, nobody knows where they are. But this is what they say. The Minister of Health assured that the government is working to locate others. They say, "We want to make this message very clear. They will be found and they will be deported." Fellas, we have big questions here. We need to talk to each other heart to heart. Number one, is this really worth it? Because if you go to somebody's house and they clearly don't want you, or they are treating some other people better than they're treating you, then you should be asking yourself some serious questions, some honorable questions, some dignifying questions. Okay, are you that person that comes to beg, "Please accept me, let me in. I want to be part of your family or your friend or at least your crew"? Or you're going to be that person that they're going to roll a red carpet for and grandiosely ask you to get inside the house, choose the best seat and watch TV as we serve you with some juice or some champagne, depending on what you drink? Are we going to be constantly the people that people treat like trash? Like, what other nations have ever been treated this way besides Africans? I don't understand. Should we continue to go and beg to be accepted and cry all the time racism because they don't treat us the way we would have treated ourselves? And sometimes we don't even treat ourselves perfectly in our own countries. Or should we have some level of pride and say, "You know what? I am going to stay in Africa. I am going to stay in my country and fix it and make sure everything that's negative is fixed. We are coming together to fight the government that's looting the country, that's stealing. We are going to oppose ourselves against any other African that don't want our country to move forward. We are going to stand up against the people that are the reason why many Africans are leaving the continent. If you cannot do it in your country, how about you go to the next African country that's receptive to who you are, where you can provide a service or something positive? No, don't go sell drugs or, human trafficking or take people's young girls and send them into prostitution. No, don't do that. Go to the next country, bring some skills, cybersecurity, computer programming, business, exchange, commerce, import of good things legally, pay tax. How about that? I don't know. Do the UK have the right to do this? Well, it's their country. Let's look back into story. The history says that just a while back, the United Kingdom accepted many Ukrainians that were welcome in the United Kingdom. Okay, and some citizens were actually endorsed. They asked them, whichever family accepted a Ukrainian family in their house will receive money from the government. Yes, many British received money from the government for accepting Ukrainians in their families. Even though in some points, some Ukrainians were like, well, we're not going to stay in the UK. We're not very happy here because there are way too many black and Muslims. Yeah, Ukrainians say that. There are too many black people in the UK and Muslims. So if they are treating Ukrainians differently than the way they're treating you, why do you force yourself? Does the UK have the right to say no? Well, they are spending about £8 million a day on refugees. Yes, to try to find you a place to stay, find you food, medical aid, and all that stuff. £8 million the government spends per day for asylum seekers. Do they have the right to say, okay, this is way too much for us? You tell me. Let me make it clear for you fellas. People come from Africa, go to Europe, then they go to France, because France is very close to the UK. Then they will cross the sea, the English Channel, with small boats. People are not scared to do that. In 2022, there was about 45,000 people that crossed. In 2023, there was a little fall, only 30,000 crossed. In 2024, from January up until now, 7,200 people have already crossed. So they say enough is enough. Does the UK have the right to refuse people? The government of the UK has taken several measures. They don't want illegal immigration. They also do not want as much legal immigration anymore. They're cutting down even on legal immigration. The government of the United Kingdom is also trying to reduce legal immigration, which has reached unsustainable and unfair levels, according to the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Well, Rishi Sunak, we're going to get back to Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak is a really British one. Anyway, he's not, we thought British were white, but he came from somewhere like everybody else. I mean, my brother Sunak leaves this country, or his parents at least leave their country. They come to the UK, they have a good life. Now he doesn't want you to go. Interesting. Anyway, let's continue. The government of the United Kingdom has taken measures. For example, increasing the minimum salary required to issue work visa. So before you get a visa, usually they ask you for your paycheck. They've increased. And toughening condition for foreign student visa application in the UK have already fallen 80%. They don't want you there as illegal immigrant. Let's recap. They don't want you as illegal immigrant. They don't want you. They're going to send you to Rwanda. They don't want you as a legal immigrant because there are way too many of you. They're making things very difficult for you to go. They don't want you as student because the visa for student issuance has dropped by 80%. You're still trying to force yourself. Why? Should we have some pride? Number 2, why is Emmanuel Macron getting involved in this story? Big question. Macron, we all know, his reputation in Africa has dropped drastically. France has been kicked out of Niger, kicked out of Mali, kicked out of Burkina Faso. Now Senegal is pushing, okay? And that's not very good for France. Now my question is this: have the French perhaps realized that they need to change their policy toward Africans? Maybe speak positively about Africans by saying we are against that policy of sending Africans back to Africa. We are against that policy of sending Africans back to Africa. Maybe it will be a way for Africans to look at Emmanuel Macron in a different lens. Maybe make new friendships and make things different. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Always a great pleasure. Macron against Sunak. Does Rishi Sunak has the right to ask people to leave the UK? I mean, he doesn't look blonde, does he? He doesn't look blonde. No, I'm lighter than him. Just kidding. We're very close, though. God bless.